Welcome to the Embodied Naturopath podcast. I'm Chantel Oxley, a qualified naturopath and Reiki practitioner, helping women to join the dots and look at the connection between their physical health, emotional well-being and their nervous system. And in today's episode, I wanted to share a little bit more about the immune system. And, obviously in Australia, we've actually got winter at the moment going through that particular season. So I thought I'd like to share a little bit more support around how we can look after our immune system and what factors to be aware of with our immunity as well. So obviously, being a bit colder at the moment, there seems to be a lot of people getting unwell, whether there's viruses going around, colds and flus. It's just that time of year that we tend to be more prone to getting unwell. But I guess the things I'd like you to consider to support your immune system or to be mindful of to make sure that you're preventing yourself from getting unwell is to, give yourself some time to rest, because if you're very stressed and you're on the go all the time, then that can be a bit of a recipe for disaster with your immune system, because you'll be, perhaps losing some nutrients that could be vital to help to support your immune system. So things like vitamin C and zinc as another mineral as well. Also, magnesium and your B vitamins, which is more tied to supporting your muscular health and your nervous system, but that can be also very helpful too. Also being aware of your sleeping habits. I have shared a little bit about this in the past as well on previous episodes, but our sleep is just so important, and it's great for our nervous system, as I always talk about that, but it's also very important for our immune system, because at night time, that's when our body is resting and repairing. And if we don't give ourselves enough of that time to rest and repair, then that's when we're going to be, more prone to getting infections and getting unwell. So that's definitely something that's really important to keep mindful of, is supporting your sleeping habits, and really be mindful of getting to bed a bit earlier. And especially when it's a bit cooler, it does get darker at night time as well. So, try not to, use too many lights and stay up late watching, TV or, Netflix series, those kinds of things, because it can be easy to get caught up into those, and then that sort of pushes back that sleep time for you to rest as well. The other thing to be mindful of also is sugar. And sugar is such a huge immune depressant, actually. There is I can't remember the exact quote, but I think it was like when you have some sugar within like 4 to 6 hours, there's like a maybe 30% reduction. Don't quote me on that specifically, but there's definitely a negative, correlation towards our immune response. So when you do ingest a lot of sugar, that can suppress or depress the immune system, and then that can actually have an impact on, the amount of our white blood cells to actually help to boost up and support our immune response when our immune system starts to notice there's something invading the body, and sometimes the defenses can be low if we're having too much sugar in our diet. So obviously having some natural fruits as sugar is a better option. It also has some more nutrients, so things like vitamin C and kiwi fruit and papaya have rich in vitamin C, as well as things like red capsicum as well. Trying to boost those. Oranges are always a classic for the vitamin C. I wouldn't reach for the orange juice per se, because, often it is, just liquid sugar essentially. And even though it is from an orange, if you don't have all the pulp and the fiber with it, it gets into the bloodstream a bit quicker as well, which we don't want. We want something that, if you're eating a fresh piece of fruit, then it's actually going to be digested a bit slower, because you've got the fibre and the nutrients there, and it's a slower release, so it's not going to have as much of an impact as, drinking something like juice. So that would be something to be mindful of as well, with, making sure you're getting some nutrients in, and also having some nice sort of warming foods as well. So things like soups and stews, some broths are really nice things to keep our body warm throughout winter as well. So it's also looking at like the energetics of keeping our body warm, because it is cold, so we want to make sure things are nice and fluid, with keeping that circulation moving with some nice warming foods, and even some nice herbal teas. Things like echinacea and elderberry are really lovely teas, or lemon and ginger, or turmeric or green tea. These are all some really nice warming herbal teas that you can have to keep your immune system functioning well. And also don't forget about hydration, because that really helps to, obviously every cell in our body requires water, and filtered water is what I would certainly be recommending, because you want to have some good clean sources of water that's not contaminated with heavy metals and bacteria and so forth. But hydration is also very important to make sure that we're sweating things out and our lymphatics are moving, because our lymphatic system correlates or alongside our blood vessels, and our blood vessels have our heart, which pumps that blood through, whereas the lymphatic system are the vessels alongside of all those blood vessels, and major organs, major areas like under the armpits and in the groin area, and in other tissues as well. But if we're not drinking enough water and we're not moving our body, so exercise or gentle movement is important, then that can sort of pull and get sort of stuck. And our lymphatic system actually helps to drain out our waste from our body. So if we're a bit more prone to having bacteria, whether being exposed to people being unwell, or those kinds of situations, making sure you're keeping hydrated to flush them out, so they're not going to sort of hang around and start to build up and multiply and create an infection for you. So that's also another one to be mindful of for your immune system. I guess the other thing too with immunity is tying it back into our defenses with our chakras. So we have the root chakra, which is one of the base chakras in the chakra system, and that is all about survival and safety. And it also is, our immune system is our defense mechanism. So again, that's looking at that safety platform as well. So being grounded in ourselves, or giving ourselves time to rest, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is also really important to, on an energetic level, and the chakra area with the root chakra. It's important to keep yourself grounded. Even things like having some root vegetables can be another one that helps you keep grounded, but also has a lot of great nutrients to support the immune system. So obviously things like sweet potato and anything, carrots, anything that's grown in the ground, any of those root vegetables, beetroot, very nutritious foods and quite grounding for our body, and also helps us to feel more not heavy in the system, but it just helps to create that nourishing feeling from those root vegetables. That's just another thought about utilising your food as medicine in that regard too. So looking at those points. And even things like gut health is also really important for our immune system. So if you're finding that your gut is, if you're experiencing gut symptoms like bloating, or alterations between diarrhea and constipation, or you're having excessive wind, or experiencing a lot of digestive upset, then it's definitely something worth exploring, because our immune system, I think it's about 60 to 70% of our immune system is in the gut. So if our gut's not functioning well and we've got overgrowth of bacteria there, then that can have an impact on our immune system systemically as well. And that also ties in a little bit with inflammation too. So if we're very inflamed, that can be affected from our gut health too, from a different perspective. But that's something to reach out to a health practitioner that can do maybe some gut testing, or give you some guidance on how to support your gut health as well. So just a little side note there. I can certainly help assist any people with that as well. I could definitely support some people through supporting their immune system, especially if they've got some autoimmune conditions, because that can, if their gut health is not right, then that can have an impact on the inflammation that's created because of certain bacteria, or maybe not having the right diet. That can trigger that as well. So yeah, just another slight deviation actually on the immunity, so looking at that autoimmune response as well. But it's all tied into our immune system and really helping to keep that nice and healthy as well. So there's just a few little things that I wanted to share on immunity. Feel free to send me a message or DM me on Instagram if you do have any questions about immunity that I can maybe share some information, and we can have a little chat further on if you want something a bit more personalised to yourself. But thank you so much for listening. If you feel that somebody else needs to listen to this episode because they're struggling with their immune system at the moment, or their immune health, then feel free to share that, and I'll see you on the next episode.